Soundstripe.
Fan Spectrum, I see you. Let's go.
We're back at the ballpark, guys. Where is he at?
This is the only union that we're gonna bust. I'm a union baby.
Come on. You're not serious. Come on. You're not serious.
I gotta stick with MJ.
Okay. Hey, you don't have to say it because I'm here now.
Okay, my boy Paul right here.
Hey, that
Figure it out.
Fan Spectrum, right here.
Trae Young had a disagreement with Nate McMillan because he didn't want to be a part of shoot-arounds because he was injured. He wanted to rehab. And so his options were to either not go to the game or I think it was to start off the bench, I believe. And so it pretty much came about that Trae Young didn't want to play. He didn't end up showing to the game at all. How do you guys feel about that? I feel like, I guess I'll start. I feel like, I don't know the severity of his injury, so I can't speak to say like, maybe it's bad enough where he needs to sit, but I think at the end of the day, man, like, I don't know, like he has a say of what he wants for his body. And like, if he doesn't want to do shoot arounds, like, well, let the man do shoot arounds. Like, why is this a big deal? Like, I feel like the coach has to be for the players first. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I look at it, especially if you want to win.
Yeah, I think Trae came out and said he wasn't happy because it's a rumor. He's saying himself that's not true. And he said it was a private matter and private matters need to stay private. And he got into it with the reporter too. So
that's fair. As
it's one of those things, man. It's just like we're just hearing things and somebody puts a story out. And sometimes I just feel like, especially with the league being dry, right? It's something that could be just pushed out to try to get some attention.
Yeah, probably. Sense.
And that's what it is. I think that's what it is. I mean, Trae Young's a stud. He's never been a problem, college or in the league. And all of a sudden, he's got an issue with his coach. And, so I don't believe it. I think it just kind of got a rumor thrown out there. And even if it is true, it's one of those things where like a coach, you got to treat your star player with some respect. I get there's an idea where like everybody's the same here and not nobody's bigger than the other. We get that, right? But if your star player is your leader of your team, you got to work with him. Like, kind of give him his leeway in a sense because he's your star. Like he's the guy that's going to get paid.
The guy that's going to win the game.
He's the guy that's going to bring in the talent.
If he keeps your job in line. Right.
Yeah, like you gotta go. It works hand in hand. You gotta take care of your stars. So, if it is true, I think Nate McMillan needs to chill out. Anybody can take his job and just run that team. That's one of those things. He's replaceable. Trae Young isn't.
I agree with that. If it is true, I get nowadays it's so different because a lot of players have voices now. You know, so
Phil Jackson would put up with that shit.
Right.
Not a game.
But it's like, number one, the coach usually I kind of understand if the rumor is true, if McMillan, maybe he was trying to, show some power and some respect for the coach. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to look like, oh, this player can run all over you, then you think the other players can do the same thing. You know what I mean? So we don't know what the real story is, but if it is the case, I kind of get it. But it's just a different time because back then, with Jordan, Ewing, these guys played through injuries. These guys played in practice, and you know what I mean? And they'll scream at other players for not being in practice with the little nit in their wrist or whatever, you know what I mean? But nowadays it's like a lot of players are more conscious of their bodies because you got contracts, you got sponsorships and all these things you have to live up to. And like B said, Trae's a star player. So, and he's the ticket seller. So right now, the organization, who's going to really side? Who the organization is going to really side with?
Right. Well, here's a good question. When is it the right time to where like that kind of shifts? Like when what makes that shift happen where it's like, you stop listening to the coach, you're kind of just your own person, or I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Like, Trae Young as a rookie, he's always going to listen to the coach, right? He's going to do whatever the coach wants him to do. But when does it shift where it's like, no, the coach is going to listen to what Trae Young wants? What makes that shift happen?
When the coaches relies on the player to do his job, like on the court. When it's like, yo, fourth quarter, it's yours. Do what you got to do. If that player comes through, that's when it's player's turn now to run it. Because a coach will always run a team and he'll run it however he's going to run it. But there's those times in those games. It's like, Steve Nash when he was hugging KD, right? Like,
yeah,
right. It's the same thing, but like it's the same idea. It's like, they're running through KD, but at the end of the day, like, hey, I need you to do what you got to do your job, and you go out there, you light up. At that point, then it's like, okay, now the player runs it because he knows he's the guy. He knows he has to be the guy. He's proven he's the guy. So that's when it becomes like, okay, I know I'm a star, like, because coaches at this point, coach knows I got to do what I got to do when it comes to crunch time. Okay. So that's what it is for me.
To add it, it's just it has to be a balance. You know what I mean? And I'm basing off experience of coaching kids. You know what I mean? Because you have to set like, hey, there's some respect here. You got to listen to what I say. Da 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 da. But then there's that other factor. That player may see something, and you got to be open. You got to be open to be like, hey, all right. Oh, you know what? Let me look at that. You know
trust.
What? All right, I trust you. You say you saw it. Let me see you go out there and do it. You know what I mean? So it has to be a balance. So you can't really like power trip. You know what I mean? You can't really, especially Trae's your star player. You can't really power trip and be like, hey, yo, you need to go out there and practice and shoot around. Oh, you nursing injury? All right, Trae, get better. The team will be here when you waiting for you, getting better. You know what I mean? And then once you're ready, let's get back and get this championship. You know what I mean? Right. So it has to be a good balance on how to handle your players. Phil Jackson was the king of that. He was the king. You know what I mean?
Popovich too,
yeah. King of that. Phil Jackson had a lot of egos with those Bulls players. Yeah. Dennis Rodman, Jordan, like not every coach can handle that, but Phil Jackson was able to balance.
That's why he's called the Zen Master.
Exactly.
That's the Zen Master, bro.
Like if you look at that team, Dennis Rodman was doing whatever he wanted, but when it came time to practice, he was there. Time to perform, he was there. Jordan. And he didn't want to let Michael Jordan down because Michael Jordan trusted him. Like, you know what? Let him do his thing because he's going to, when the time comes, he's going to be there for us.
Yeah, when we need him, he'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because if anybody knows how to run like that kind of where I have more than one star, but I know they're going to play for me, Phil Jackson's literally it, bro.
Yeah.
Like Greg Popovich, another one, just and Steve Kerr as of late. Steve Kerr, like
actually good one.
Like where he's just like, yeah, they're like I'm letting them play their game, but at the end of the day, they're running my system. Like and that's like a mutual respect.
What and that's because I feel like with Phil Jackson, like he earned it as a coach. Same with Popovich, he earned it as a coach. Steve Kerr, I mean, he earned it as a player. Like he knows what it took to win because he was a player's coach. What as a significance as like a coach trying to earn it? How do you earn that respect? Like I think it's a balance, but it's like how do you know if what you're doing is right as a player to listen? You know what I mean?
I think it comes down to what Aaron said. It has to be a mutual respect between that star and the coach to understand. Like I'm here, like. And I'm pretty sure they all have that sit down. It's like I know what you're capable of and I ain't going to change that, but I have a system that I think it can make you better. And if you can have your players believe in that, especially your stars believe in that, then the team then the team follows. And then at that point it's just jelly.
It's building a
exact same reason why Steve Kerr comes in and he's like, I know what you guys are doing and what you guys done is great. What you guys have done is great, but I know what's going to make us champions. Like I have the one, I'm not the missing link, but I'm just going to tweak you in certain ways to make you take the next step. Like, and that's all that was, it was, we already knew Golden State was going to be something serious. Right. And then, Steve Kerr just walks in and it's like, here you go. Here's all these players. Here's all these talent. You know what it was to win with Jordan, without Jordan. You know what it is to win. Like, bring these guys together. There's no better person that, like, from that perspective that can see it, because he was a role player, a role player in a team full of superstars with a team that moved the ball at that point. Yes, Jordan was the guy.
With the Spurs too. I mean, he even did it with the Spurs.
Exactly. Like teams with stars, but at the end of the day, there's more than one, and they all move the ball, right? Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and then you have Kerr, and then you have, you have Harper, you have these guys coming off Kukoc. So it was like perfect, because the exact same thing goes to San Antonio. Timmy, Manu Parker, young Timmy, Manu Parker. And it's like, okay, cool. They're young. All right, what's the next team now? So now they go like, you've played where teams, you've been on teams where you played with multiple superstars and you know how they work. Bring that system here. And that's all he did.
It's even his play style. He kind of like, yeah, I'm a 3-point shooter amongst 3-point shooters. Like, I'm gonna show you my
exactly
style.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally like, just like, hey, I know how you play, I know where you excel. I'm just gonna give you the game plan. You just follow it.
Let me ask you this: if you're building a team, do you get a good coach first or a good star player?
Well, the good.
Oh, that's a good one, Romeo. That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's a good one. Because
I'm gonna say a good coach, because a good coach can make a bad player look good no matter what.
I mean,
look at Tyronn Lue.
It's true. I mean, it is true. I mean, but they're the same. They go so hand in hand, though. It's such a hard thing, because there's also been great players that played for very bad coaches. I mean, so I'll say great player. And reason why is because I think of LeBron and where he started off.
Yeah, but look at
being
a
rookie
coaches.
In the league, going to the finals. Like same thing.
For me, the only bad coach LeBron. I'm sorry. For me, the only bad coach LeBron's had is Mike Brown. Every other coach he's had has been significantly pretty good. Eric Spoelstra.
But a lot of it's like besides Eric Spoelstra already being there, a lot of them were picked by him too.
Yeah,
like,
that's
so
true. No,
so like
true.
But besides Eric Spoelstra is a great example of a coach that no matter what you give him, he can make him a playoff team though. Like, so Eric Spoelstra is a coach where you're like, I can have Eric Spoelstra and give him whatever and he'll make a good team. So like, but I do think it is a player. I think it's a player that starts it all, because at the end of the day, then you build around him, and then that brings in the coaching staff and the players and all that kind of stuff. Is that, like I said, we saw that with LeBron, LeBron, we saw it with Kobe. Kobe worked. Yeah. Now Kobe is the one, because Kobe really worked really well with Zen Master, and Phil Phil's just one of those you can't really put in that category. It's kind of hard. But Phil's kind of was one of those that came into a situation with Jordan being on the Bulls. Like, Jordan was already there and he took over, and the same thing. He went from there to LA, and then brought the triangle to LA, and they did really well too. So they go hand in hand, man. It's one of those things.
I mean, you can even use football. I mean, look at the Brady and Belichick situation. I mean, do you, in essence, is it? Go ahead. I was gonna say, in essence, is it Belichick that made Brady, or is it Brady that made Belichick? And I mean, I know we've had that discussion before, but it's like, at the end of the day, Brady has another ring with another coach. He in essence, that it's a great player you wouldn't want to get first. But I don't know. I feel like if it's a starting team or a starter team, I'd rather have a great coach. That's just my opinion. Just because it sets the foundation and culture.
I got one for you, Aaron. I'll ask you, Aaron, so you can actually go off of it, right? So you said, would you rather do a great coach or a great player? Now let's actually put coaches and players. Now, would you rather start with Jordan, or would you rather start with the Zen Master, Jackson? With Phil?
Ooh,
who would you start with?
You know what? I would start with Jordan.
Okay.
And this is the reason why, right? And you can even look at Jordan's career, because Jordan didn't have the Zen Master, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Jordan, everybody saw what kind of player Jordan was, right? And that attracts his play, his stardom. It attracts certain coaches
That's
that
true.
can deal with that type of player. You know what I mean? You could start with a great coach, but sometimes it's going to be hard to find a player. You know what I mean? You're going to be recruiting and all this stuff. Like, look at Popovich. He hasn't been the same when Duncan left. You know what I mean? When Duncan and Parker and Ginobili, he's still finding a star. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think once you have that player, you're going to get your great coach eventually. And I think you made mention about LeBron, like LeBron being on these different teams and handpicking his coach, because they know that LeBron can take him to that promised land. It was just a philosophy, a way to win.
Yeah.
Now the NFL, I know
plan.
Romeo, you brought up the NFL. The NFL is different.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot more players, and we talked about the Belichick and Brady situation, but Brady needed Belichick because Brady mastered Belichick's system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Belichick has a whole team to run. He has the offense, he has the defense, he has the special teams. You know what I mean? Brady just had to focus on mastering the offense.
It's funny. It started with like the Jedi Master and the Padawan, and then it flipped.
Right.
Like at the end by the end though, they were both Jedi Masters, because it was like you got
They
Brady
both became,
needed.
it's both Darth Vader and
Brady needed Bill, right? And then once Brady enhanced, then Bill was like, I can rely on Brady now. Like I'm good now. Now Brady take me like to the problem.
But the thing is, it was easy for him because he's like, I could trust Brady. Now I just have to focus on my defense and my special teams.
Yes, sir.
You know, it just having a great player made it easy for Belichick, but I think the NFL is just totally different because you can win. You can still win without a great quarterback, or
that's true.
You need a great team. NBA is more.
Yeah.
You need a star player to win championships. Not many great teams have won the championship. They always had a great star player in the mix. You know what I mean? So I think in closing, I think I would go with the star player.